Risk, I don't know if you guys put a lot of thought into this, but risk is inherently built into the nature of love. Just by design, love involves risk. Every time you fall in love with someone or something like that, you have to open your heart, throw it out on the line, and hope the other person accepts it. And after we get hurt enough times, a lot of times we're not willing to take that risk anymore. And so, one of the reasons, again, that restraint is important is because there's risk involved in love. The way love works, it seems the greater the potential for love, the greater the potential for pain. I think we sort of talked about that last week, but it's just true. Think about it. Think about this for a second. Who are the people that can hurt you most? Are they like random ninjas that you meet in like the Chunin exam? Or are they gonna be like ninjas that you're really close with? Yeah, see? But seriously though, on a serious note, it's the people you love the most that are capable of hurting you the most. And then we see this in movies all the time, we see this in like anime and stuff like that. The reason they show this stuff is because it's true. Just think about it for a second. Get rid of that. Anyway, even in marriage, risk doesn't disappear. The more you love a person, the higher the risk becomes. Because ultimately, the longer you're with the person, you run the risk of losing the person even through like death or betrayal or abandoning or something like that. So the longer you're with somebody, the more meaningful the relationship is and the more the risk increases. And it doesn't decrease after you get married. It's not like you're married and then got over that and there's no more risk involved. In fact, it gets worse. It gets more intense. If relationships are going to be meaningful, there's always risk involved. And so, in a dating situation, once you get past the, hey, nice to meet you, so what do you do? Oh yeah, like, what school do you go to? Yeah, oh, that's cool. What kind of movies do you like? Once you get past all that, like, infatuation, like, crush stuff, the, like, not serious conversations, you get to a certain point in the relationship, and you start to ask, oh my god, is this person the one? And that's when you have to risk your heart. And we see this with Solomon and his woman, and that's exactly what they're going to do. In chapter 2, so jump into verse 10, this is what he says. So, okay, this is the girl quoting the guy. She says, "My lover spoke to me and said, 'Arise, my darling, my beautiful one, come with me. See, the winter is past, the rains are over and gone, flowers appear on the earth, the season of singing has come, the cooing of doves is heard in our land. The fig tree forms its early fruit, the blossoming vines spread their fragrance. Arise, come my darling, my beautiful one, come with me.'" So this is spring, or winter is over, it's spring, it's mating season for animals, and a season of love, which is love is in the air, right? And this is what he's asking her to do. He's asking her to come out from the protection of her family walls and explore the potential of this relationship. Arise, come my darling, my beautiful one, come with me. That's what he's saying. He's taking a risk. He's going to throw out his heart on the line for her, and she can reject him, and he can lose her, and it would be like a total bummer, right? But it's got to happen. It's part of dating. It's part of love. So at this point where you start to like risk your heart, at that point in the relationship, that's usually when all the cards start to come out, right? Like everyone's problems and their flaws start to show, because while you're dating for the first like 6 months or so, you can like pretend to be someone cool and like pretend to be caring and loving and clean and all that stuff like that. But after a while, you can't pretend to be who you aren't, and you can't keep on putting up that front to impress everybody. And so all the junk and the baggage and all the dirt eventually gets put out for the other person to see. So remember that we said that the level of risk increases the closer you become attached to somebody. So this is especially true when all the problems start showing up. And believe me, there will be problems. And so because of all these problems, you need our last, third, and final R to deal with the risk. And that third R is resolve. So we see this also as Solomon's relationship. He's also demonstrating this. Solomon's a smart guy. He knows that their relationship isn't perfect. And so he says to her this following line, just down in 2:15. He says, "Catch for us the foxes, the little foxes that ruin the vineyards, our vineyards that are in bloom." And you're like, what the hell is he talking about? Like, foxes, vineyards. So remember this whole like spring imagery that he's talking about? Vineyard is used symbolically to represent their relationship. And if you grow grapes, you know that right before the grapes are about to bloom, there's like these little grape flowers that kind of look like that. And what happened back in the day is, if you didn't watch out and take care of your garden, then foxes, like that evil fox over there, would come and eat the fruit, and you wouldn't have any grapes, and that would suck, because then you can't make wine and all that other cool stuff, right? So, yeah, he's totally comparing their relationship to a vineyard, and he's saying you gotta catch these foxes. And so foxes are like problems. They represent problems and danger and stuff that's gonna destroy the relationship potentially. The same is true for our relationships. There are going to be problems. People who are dating, you guys are both sinners, and you know this is true, so there will be problems. I mean, I can just give you a sample, just a list of some of the problems you probably will come across as you're courting, dating, whatever word you want to use. Jealousy, you start to not trust the other person. Selfishness, you care about yourself more than what the other person needs. Lack of communication, big one. Money, yeah. Married people never fight about money, right? Never? Of course not. Also, this is a touchy one, the past. Both of you guys bring different past problems into your relationship, and that's going to come up. How are you going to deal with that? Sexual temptation is also going to come up. So that's just a sample of some of the things that could potentially ruin your relationship. And the question is whether or not you're going to have the resolve to fight for your relationship, to fight for love. And if marriage is anything, it is pure resolve. Ultimately, if you come to understand the meaning of the words, for better or for worse, until death do us part, if you really mean that, it's going to take a lot of resolve to preserve that commitment. And ultimately, we know that this lifelong commitment, this kind of thing, this kind of love is the good kind of love that we should aim for. It's what's going to let us enjoy sex the most, as we talked about last week. And so, I just want to end with how Solomon's wife describes this kind of commitment at the end of Song of Songs. It's chapter 8. And so, this is how she describes it. It's probably one of the best descriptions of love that I've ever heard. And she says this: "Place me like a seal over your heart, like a seal on your arm, for love is as strong as death. Its jealousy unyielding as the grave. It burns like blazing fire, like an almighty fire. Many waters cannot quench love. Rivers cannot wash it away. If one were to give all the wealth in his house for love, it would be utterly scorned." What's she saying here? Now, seals represent authenticity and ownership, and that's what love is. Love is, if it's authentic, there's ownership involved. And this kind of love requires exclusivity, and it jealously demands loyalty and commitment. And you know what? This kind of jealousy isn't bad. There's bad jealousy, but this isn't the kind of jealousy that's bad. It's actually righteous. It means you take love seriously. And lastly, this description of love, we see that this kind of love is more valuable than any kind of amount of money that you can bring. If you try to bring money to buy this kind of love, everyone will be like, "What the hell is this guy trying to do?" You know? And so this is ultimately what it's all about.